Alright, hello all. I had a request to install Arch Linux onto a USB drive, and this is going to be through Arch Linux itself, so it's a little easier. So on the desktop here, I have Arch, of course. So I just made some notes, as you can probably see, on installing Arch onto a USB, and all you have to do inside Arch Linux is grab the Arch install scripts. Once those are installed, you can go about installing Arch Linux onto a USB drive. So, in my case, I'm going to plug it in, and this is the GNOME shell that I'm using as a desktop environment. It's going to pop up, or just, yeah, there it is. Okay, it says Arch 64, and make sure it's not mounted. In this case, it is mounted. And this is through our file manager, so it's easier just to, go back one, sorry, to right click and unmount. Okay. If not, you can download GNOME disk utilities and unmount it through there. But if you can, through your file manager, just make sure it's not mounted. Okay. So make sure you have the Arch install scripts, as I just mentioned. Then we'll just open the obligatory terminal and do this as super user, as your super user. It makes it easier for everything installing, so you don't have to keep typing sudo. Okay, so once you're logged in as your root, I'm going to use SDF as the example, but there's yours might be different. It could be SDB, SDC, whatever letter. So first of all, make sure that it is there. So just do an fdisk-l for list. Just list, and you see right here SDF1, and it's an approximately 8 gigabyte USB drive. It's an older one, but it still works just fine. So obviously it has data on it, so clear the screen here. We're gonna have to wipe the file system, or fdisk will complain, and you might have to eject and put the drive back in after doing this. So wipe. This is built into Arch, I believe, from the base package. So wipe fs, one word, -a /dev sdf, as I said in my case, f. Okay? And I would really, actually probably just, it's not there. Okay, so let's do an fdisk -device st, and again, whatever drive letter you're using. Okay, it's not coming back with saying make sure you wipe this, so it's fine. So I'm gonna use the usual very simple method of n for new, first primary 1, first sector the same, and last sector, so there's no swap or anything, and just type W to write. So we go back to our file manager, it's come back, and it's not mounted, it's grayed out. Okay, so again, just keep checking that. So we've already done the fdisk. Now to make a file system, you can use extension 4, but it recommends to run this really strange command, mkfs-O and caret, and then has_journal. That's in quotes, and then whatever device you're using. So I'm just going to copy that. That's a little tricky to remember. So copy, and I'll just paste that into the terminal. Okay, and let's see what happens. And answer yes. And give it there. There, it's done. So it's finished, and back to file manager, and now it's seen as just 8 gigabyte volume. Okay. So from there, we just mount and install Arch Linux as usual. So I'll clear the screen in the DOS prompt. I'm so sorry, command prompt. Don't kill me for that. So we just mount mount/device STF1, or whatever, like I said, your USB drive is seen as, to /mnt. And if yours has a light, you can probably see it flashing in LSMNT. Okay? So now the Arch Linux install scripts, if you don't have a pack strap, will not be recognized. So pack strap, I'm just going to leave out any kind of extra arguments, but onto the mounted drive base, and you might as well get base dash DEVL because that pulls in sudo and other stuff for using the user repository, which you probably want to do, especially in this case. So I'll synchronize the database and install the base and base devel. So I'll let this download and install and be back when this is ready. Okay, so Arch Linux basically is installed on our USB device, but of course we have to continue on making it so it's bootable and so on. The first thing is to allow the persistence of the drive, and part of that is when we generate our file system table. So GEN FS tab dash capital U for unique identifier name slash MNT 2 arrows out to slash MNT etc FS tab. If you want to double check that, you can delete up to the last MNT. Oops, and do CAT to show show what it's just done. What I'm going to do though is nano -w slash MNT etc FS tab, and where it has UUID, go to extension 4 to where it has real time. I'm going to change that to no a time. Control write that out, press enter, and Control X to exit. Keep in mind too, it's USB, so it might be a little slower to react. So once that's done, we just type in arch just chroot to slash MNT. And we'll list out, there's our Arch Linux installation. Of course, you want the first thing to do is remember to always put in your root password. Okay. And from there, another thing is for persistence is this E2 label. So it's not that hard to do. So just type in E2 label. The name of the device, SDF1, and the label. I think it's just you just type what you want. So like Flash or Arch. How about Arch 64? It's a 64-bit install. And it's done. And that's the persistence part of the USB drive. Okay, now I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to get git. So pacman-S git. And I'm going to use a clone from my Git repository just to save some time. And all it does is just installs Zorg and everything. I'll post a link to it. You just look at the text file, and if you want to use it, feel free. Just do the same as git clone https://github.com/my username / I call it pre_arch. And it's done. And ls pre_arch. There's a whole bunch of things, such as if you're going to use this, you'd have to chmod or nano. I'm so sorry, nano prearch user add. All it is that user add in the string bin bash, and then just change that from whatever name you want. If you want to use this to your name, that's all. Which I'm not going to. So when you're done with that, chmod +x prearch user add, and then I just run it. I take out the chmod +x, press enter, and then password for my user. If it didn't work, it wouldn't find my username. Okay, so just usual stuff for your password. Another one I do, just because I do this quite often to install, is chmod another space, sorry, +x prearch local, because I use the local ENS, and this sets up the date and the time and the local, as you can see here. So date is correct. Matches what's on the desktop here. Okay? Hope I'm not confusing you too much. The Arch Linux documentation is very good at explaining, if you haven't used Arch before. But I think the whole idea is you probably have, and just to get this onto a bootable USB drive so you can throw it into your pocket and hopefully use it anywhere. So after that, I always have to remind myself what's in here. We've done the user, local, and next is the CH, it's called chroot post. I just call it that. That pulls in Zorg and Wi-Fi facilities, wireless facilities, Git, Reflector, and so on. So and plus I put a no confirm or whatever is at the end. So mlocate, wireless tools, rsync, bash completion, the related packages that go along with it, basically dialog, of course. And okay, that's fine, that message. And it also, that script also just enabled the base. It's called base. And there we go. So I'm going to use the open source. So default for everything. We're going to get the default input. You might want to get the other one for the touchpad on a laptop. I think it's Synaptic or something. Okay, so once all that stuff is installed, the Zorg stuff, at least get this these videos drivers just in case for compatibility. They're all open source, so Pacman-S XF 86-video dash VESA. And I'll just continue and get the other ones. It's no harm, ATI, Intel, and Nuvo. So I'll be back in a second. The last one, NVIDIA, it says make sure you use KMS. If it doesn't boot, if it doesn't show a blank screen or no signal, you have to add no mode set. You probably know that anyway to your grub line. Okay, so moving along, let's address our network. Hopefully it'll work for you. Give yourself a host name, network name, echo, anything you want. Let me think here. Flash, doesn't matter, flash drive. Out to, one arrow, etc, host name. And since I'm going to use Firefox, I'm going to nano etc hosts and change the local host to the same as I just called my host name, flash and flash. Oops. Flash. Okay. So just that this first 127 line, and that's it. And Control O to write that out. Control X to quit. And what's next? We need our network stuff. So Pacman-S network manager. Depending on what desktop, I'm going to install probably XFCE. So network dash manager dash applet. See if I got that right. Whoa, so there you go. There's a whole bunch of things it's going to pull in. So just in case, let me see if I get that. Yeah, I'm going to get that polkit dash gnome. Yeah, dash gnome. Okay, and as I said, sometimes it takes a little while for the install to take place because it is a USB drive, probably a little slower. Okay, for file system, probably get DOS if you have Windows, or DOS, FS tools, NTFS-3G and GBFS. Okay, so network, I hope everything is working, is correct. We have to enable that. System CTL enable network manager. Okay, so good. Network manager, dispatcher service. Okay, that's good. So next up, what else do we need? We need a desktop environment. So as I said, I'm going to get, I'll use XFCE. So pacman-S XFCE 4 and just defaults and let that download and install. Okay, so we're almost done. Disk free, it's used 2 gigs out of whatever, 7.5, 8 or 8 gigs. So we're doing okay on that side. There's a few other things that you can do post boot, and I'll try to continue the video from the USB drive. So after that, we just run our mkinit cpio-p linux and install grub with the removable argument, and then edit our grub actually for just one more thing. I don't think it's really necessary, but just in case. So, any case, so mkinit-p linux. And to install grub, it's up to you if you want to have OS Prober to see another when you're booting. But I don't think I'm going to get that. So pacman-S grub. And sorry about that. EFI. If I don't have a UEFI board. There's more on that. I'll just post a link to this Arch onto a USB with the grub, but in my case it's just simple grub install, grub dash install, and then 2 dashes removable to device STF in my case. And I'm going to assume nano Etsy default grub just in case. I'm going to add this since it's almost considered a flash, so maybe it's more SSD. I'm just going to put in an elevator. This is completely optional. Equals no op noop, and so control write that out. Control X, and then grub dash mkconfig dash o /boot grub /grub again, and a .cfg, and that's it. And I think that should cover it on this side of installing Arch Linux onto a USB. So you just exit as usual. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. Sorry if I have. And then just umount -mnt -R and get out of your terminal, and there it says Arch 64. So with any luck, I'll see you on the flip side from within the Arch USB install. Okay, so obviously it worked, and you can see that you can't. There's no way I can prove that I'm off a USB other than showing you how sometimes things are a little slower, such as if I want to mount my data drive, sometimes mount volume. Okay, that came out quick. I guess it's whatever's cached. And a couple of things. Obviously, I've installed some codecs and things so I can record the video. And I also went into the system D journal. It's mentioned in the Arch Linux documentation. So I've already installed LeafPad. So sudo LeafPad etc system D journal d.conf. Okay. And uncomment storage equals volatile, and I uncomment system max used 50 megs, and another one was runtime max 30 megs. So save those as save that file, of course, edit as root. Another one was from the user repository, eat my data. Basically, it's called lib. So you can get it through Yowert if you have that, lib eat my data. And so Eat My Data Firefox, and it comes up pretty quick actually. I don't think there's anything else to mention. I haven't installed a login manager and just manually typed in start XFCE4, one word, from your user. And I forgot to mention is editor equals nano VIEISUDO. Okay. Page down to the end, and then I'll just scroll up a bit. And you can either have the wheel all equals all, but I like to have the no password. Once I did that, everything was fine. So sudo pacman capital SYY. It's not going to ask for a password, and I'm in the wheel group basically. Okay, and I also had to modify, so I had multilib because this is a 64-bit, and obviously put in the Arch Linux FR server for YAWART. Okay, now obviously the USB will be filling up. 2.8 gigs is used. That's not much, but you can run this command: sudo pacman capital SCC, I believe, and answer yes. Yes. And let's do. So now we freed up 500 megabytes from doing that. And another one is I use a pack-O. That's to optimize. And I'm sure that'll make much difference on space. But as you can see, it's taking a bit longer to sync database to disk because it's running off the USB drive. But for all intents and purposes, I am connected to the internet through Network Manager and the Network Manager applet. And I can do things, as you can see. Another one I get is to free up even more is YAWART. I use a shortcut, Locale purge. Alright, so after that's installed, you just do hey, I can zoom in now. Sudo leafpad etc locale.nopurge, and just comment needs configuration first, and then just delete whatever languages you don't think you need, and save and close, and then sudo locale purge, and it's going to tell you this, so you just run that command as root. Again, it's taking a little time to respond. Sudo Control-Shift-V, and then run that command one more time. And oops. That's /2.1. So it's what, we went from 2.8 to 2.1 gigs, just using those few commands. Okay. So I think that should pretty much wrap it up. I mean, you can, this XFCE or another desktop, open box or something, and you just go about doing things as you usually would on a Linux installation, whatever you want. Obviously, media works fine and browsers work, so it just depends on how much space you have, and probably a better USB faster would be, more responsive. Okay. So I hope that helps the person that was asking, or anybody else is interested in using Arch Linux on a USB so you can take anywhere and plug it in. I hope that helps you as well. So that should do it for this one, and have fun. Let me know how this works, and we'll talk to you soon. And bye for now.